I remember the last morning I woke up in our apartment like it was a photograph I cannot stop staring at. Laura stood by the kitchen counter, pouring coffee into 2 mugs, and golden sunlight streamed through the window behind her. I sat at our small dining table with my laptop open, looking at our savings account balance, $23,000. 5 years of overtime shifts, skipped vacations, and packed lunches had built that number. I watched it on the screen, feeling proud. Then Laura's phone buzzed on the counter. The name Mom lit up the display. She picked it up and I felt something shift in the air. I did not know that would be the last morning I would wake up as her husband. Before I tell you how one phone call destroyed my marriage and freed me at the same time, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. Hit that like button if you have ever had to choose between loyalty and self-respect. And subscribe, because what happened next taught me the most expensive lesson about family money and knowing when to walk away. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I met Laura 6 years ago at a marketing firm in Denver, Colorado. She had brown hair that caught the light when she laughed, a confident smile that could disarm anyone in a meeting, and ambition that burned steady in everything she did. I was a software engineer, quiet and methodical, drawn to her independence. She made decisions without needing approval from anyone. She had opinions and was not afraid to voice them. That was what I loved most about her. We dated for 2 years before getting married at a small ceremony overlooking the mountains. We shared a dream that felt simple and solid: buy a house, build a stable life together, maybe have kids someday. So we saved. I took on extra hours. Laura picked up freelance projects on weekends. After 5 years of marriage, we had $23,000 sitting in our joint account. We were 1 year away from having enough for a down payment on a house in the suburbs. Everything felt within reach. But there was something I had not fully understood yet. Laura came from a family shaped by loss. Her father died when she was 16, leaving her mother Patricia to raise her and her older brother Tyler alone. Patricia was a strong woman, the kind who carried her grief like armor. She had worked 2 jobs to keep the family afloat, and she never let her children forget it. Tyler was 35, now 3 years older than Laura, and he had tried his hand at multiple business ventures. An electronics store that closed within a year. A consulting firm that never found clients. Every failure came with a new explanation and a new idea for making money fast. I respected Patricia for what she had endured. I tried to get along with Tyler even when his ideas sounded more like fantasies than plans. I thought I was doing the right thing by being polite and patient. 6 months before everything collapsed, Tyler came over for dinner. He talked about an investment opportunity in a tech startup. He needed $5,000 to get in early. He looked at me across the table with hopeful eyes and said the returns could be significant. I politely declined, explaining that we were saving for a house. Laura agreed with me that night. But later, when Patricia called and asked why we would not help Tyler, Laura went silent on the phone. She did not defend our decision. She just listened to her mother talk, her face tight with discomfort. After she hung up, I asked her what was wrong. She said it was nothing. But I noticed something I had not seen before. Laura would not defend our boundary to her mother. It was a small crack, barely visible, but it was there. Over the next few months, Patricia started calling more often, sometimes twice a day. Laura would leave the room to take the calls, closing the bedroom door behind her. When I asked what they talked about, she would say it was just family stuff, nothing important. I felt like I was being shut out of a part of her life that was growing larger every day. Then 3 months before the breaking point, Tyler showed up again with a new obsession: cryptocurrency. He talked about Bitcoin and Ethereum and altcoins I had never heard of. He showed us screenshots of profits people were supposedly making online. During a family dinner at Patricia's house, Tyler gave a 2-hour presentation on crypto investing. Laura listened carefully, asking questions, nodding along. I tried to interject with concerns about volatility and risk. Patricia cut me off. She said, "Bernard, you work with computers. Why do not you understand this?" The air went cold. On the drive home, Laura said something that made my stomach turn. Maybe we should keep an open mind. I asked her what she meant. She said, about new opportunities. I replied. Open mind about what gambling our savings. She did not answer. She just looked out the window. 2 months later, Tyler claimed he had invested in some altcoin and made $3,000 in 2 weeks. I doubted the numbers, but Patricia called Laura every day to talk about it. Laura started watching YouTube videos about crypto trading. I could see her getting pulled in, and I felt powerless to stop it. Then one evening she brought it up. She suggested we invest $5,000 into crypto just to try it. I said no immediately. That was over 20% of our house fund. Laura pushed back. She said Tyler had proven it could work. I pointed out that Tyler had failed at 3 businesses already. She got angry. She said I never supported her family. I was shocked. I told her this was not about supporting them. It was about protecting our future. She said her mother had raised them alone, and Tyler was finally doing well. She asked why I could not be happy for them. We argued for an hour. It ended with no resolution. That night we slept with our backs to each other for the first time in 5 years. 1 week later, Patricia invited us to an important family dinner. Tyler was there with his laptop and a full presentation ready. He talked about a rare opportunity to invest in a new altcoin that was about to explode in value. He said he needed $30,000 to secure serious returns. He proposed that Laura and I invest $20,000, and he and Patricia would contribute $10,000. Patricia looked at Laura and said, "This is a chance for our family to change our lives." I immediately objected. I said that was nearly all our savings and we could not do it. Patricia turned to me with cold eyes. She said, "Bernard, this is a family decision." I replied, "Laura and I are a family. That money is ours." Tyler jumped in. He said, "Look, man, I know you are scared, but scared money does not make money." Laura said nothing. She stared at her plate the entire time. On the drive home, I asked her if she understood we were not doing this. She said, "They are my family, Bernard." I said, "And I am your husband." "What about our house? Our plan?" She replied, "Plans can change." "This could help us get the house faster," I said, "or lose everything." She said, "You do not trust my family." I told her I did not trust a risky investment that sounded too good to be true. She said, "You do not trust my family." We drove the rest of the way in silence. The days after that dinner were suffocating. Patricia called Laura every single day, sometimes twice. Laura spent hours in the bedroom with the door closed, talking in low voices I could not make out. When I tried to start a conversation, she gave me short answers and avoided eye contact. One night I could not sleep. I went to our home office and opened the computer we shared. I saw the search history. How to convince husband to invest. Is it normal for husband to control finances? Family versus spouse priority. Each line felt like a knife between my ribs. My wife was not trying to talk to me. She was trying to figure out how to go around me. She was looking for permission from strangers on the internet to betray the partnership we had built. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. I felt my marriage crumbling, and I did not know how to stop it. Then came the night that ended everything. It was a Friday. I came home after a long day at work. Laura was sitting on the couch, phone in her hand, her eyes red and swollen. I asked her what was wrong. She looked up at me and said Tyler found an even better opportunity. But we need to decide tonight. The window closes tomorrow. My blood went cold. I asked what opportunity she was talking about. She said it was a pre-sale coin. She said Tyler had shown her proof that it could multiply our investment by 20 times in 3 months. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. I asked her what she was asking me to do. She avoided my eyes. She said Tyler needed the money wired by midnight. I asked her how much. She whispered all of it. 23,000. I could not breathe. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. I said, "You are asking me to give up our entire savings. Everything we worked for." She said it was not giving up. It was investing. She said in 3 months we would have enough for the house and more. I asked what would happen if we lost it all. She finally looked me in the eyes. She said, "My family would not let that happen." I said, "Your family has let Tyler fail at 3 businesses already. Why is this different?" She got angry, she said. Because you do not know him like I do. He is my brother, I said, and I am your husband. Where do I stand in this? Her phone rang. The screen said Mom. Laura answered and put it on speaker. Patricia's voice filled the room. She asked if Laura had talked to me. Laura said we were discussing it. Patricia spoke directly to me. She said, Bernard, I know you are worried. But as Laura's mother, I promise you, I would never let my children do something that would hurt them. Tyler has done his research. This is legitimate, I said. With respect, Patricia, this is between Laura and me. Patricia's voice turned ice cold. She said, Laura is my daughter first. She was mine before she was yours. The words hit me like a slap. Silence filled the apartment. Then Patricia continued. She said, Laura, sweetie, you need to make a choice. Are you going to let fear control your life? Or are you going to trust your family? I looked at Laura. I waited for her to say something, to defend us, to tell her mother that we were a team. She looked down at the floor. I said, Laura, please, tell your mother we cannot do this. 10 seconds passed. It felt like the longest 10 seconds of my life. Then Laura spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. She said, Bernard, they are my family. I have to support them. I felt my heart shatter. I asked, and what am I? She started crying. She said, you are my husband, but Tyler is my brother. Mom sacrificed everything for us. I cannot just walk away. Patricia's voice came through the phone. She said, Laura, you are doing the right thing. I stood up. My voice came out calm, and that scared me. I said, if you wire that money, we are done. Laura looked up shocked. She said, Bernard, do not make me choose. I said, I am not giving you an ultimatum. I am telling you the consequence. If you choose them over our future over us, then there is no us. She sobbed. She said, do not make me choose. I said, you already did. The moment you said you have to support them. Patricia tried to speak. I said, goodbye, Patricia. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend Greg. I asked if I could stay at his place that night. Laura said, where are you going? I grabbed my car keys and walked toward the door. I said, to give you space to be with your family, since that is who you have chosen. Laura called out, Bernard, wait. I stopped at the door but did not turn around. I said, if you wire that money, do not call me. Then I left. I drove to Greg's apartment across town. He opened the door and saw the look on my face. He asked what happened. I told him everything. He said, what are you going to do? I said. I gave her a choice. Now I have to wait. I lay on his couch that night, unable to sleep. I kept checking my phone. No messages. No calls from Laura. At 11:47 p.m., I opened our banking app. The balance still showed $23,000. I refreshed at 11:58. Still no change. At 12:03 a.m., I refreshed again. The screen loaded. Balance $147.82. I stared at it. Transaction history showed a wire transfer of $22,850 to Tyler Morrison at 11:52 p.m. I did not cry. I did not feel anger. I just felt empty. Laura had made her choice. Now I had to make mine. At 12:15 a.m., I searched for divorce lawyers in Denver who were available on Saturday. I found Mr. Divorce Lawyers in Denver, 2 available on Saturday. Thompson, a family law attorney who handled emergency consultations. I sent him an email explaining the situation. Then I typed out a message to Laura, but did not send it. It said, I saw the transaction. I understand now. I will have my lawyer contact you. I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I deleted it and typed one word instead. Understood. I hit send. I met Mr. Thompson at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. He was 55 years old with graying hair and calm eyes that had seen situations like mine before. He listened to my story without interrupting. When I finished, he said, Colorado is an equitable distribution state. Normally, marital assets are divided fairly, but she wired the money without your consent. That is unauthorized dissipation of marital assets. We can file for emergency relief." He spent 2 hours drafting divorce papers. When he slid them across the desk for my signature, I felt strange. This was the end. I signed my name. At 11:30 a.m., my phone buzzed. 3 messages from Laura. "Bernard, where are you? We need to talk. I know you are upset, but please come home. Mom and Tyler are here. We can explain everything." I did not respond. Instead, I created a checklist in my Notes app. File divorce papers. Move personal belongings. Change all passwords. Notify my employer of address change. Cancel joint accounts. I called Greg's landlord. He had a studio apartment available immediately. I said I would take it. At 3 p.m., Laura sent another message. "Going to Mom's for dinner. Be back around 9. Please be home. We need to talk." This was my window. I texted back, "I will be there." At 3:30, I pulled into the parking lot of our apartment building. I walked inside and unlocked the door. The apartment still smelled like her perfume. Everything looked the same. Our wedding photo on the wall. The couch we picked out together. The kitchen where we used to cook side by side. I stood there for a minute and took a deep breath. I grabbed 3 large boxes from my car and started packing. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, my laptop and camera, books I loved, important documents, passport, birth certificate, diplomas, gifts from my own family. I was careful not to take anything that belonged to both of us. I left the couch, I left the TV, I left the kitchen supplies. I wanted nothing that would tie me to this place anymore. The hardest moment came when I saw our wedding album on the shelf. I opened it and flipped through the pages. Laura laughing in her white dress, me smiling like I had won the lottery. Photos from our honeymoon in California, our first anniversary dinner. Last Christmas morning. I closed the album and put it back on the shelf. I took only one photo, a small picture of Laura and me at the park before everything fell apart. I slipped it into my wallet, not to remember her, but to remember the lesson. I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a letter by hand. "Laura, by the time you read this, I will be gone, not just from this apartment, but from your life. Last night you made a choice. You chose your family's risky dream over our solid plan. You chose their voices over mine. You chose loyalty to them over partnership with me. I do not write this with anger. I write this with clarity. I gave you 5 years of my life. I gave you my trust, my savings, and my future. You gave it all to Tyler for a cryptocurrency gamble. You will receive divorce papers on Monday. My lawyer will contact you. I am not taking anything that is ours, because there is no ours anymore. You made that clear when you wired away our future. I hope Tyler's investment works out. I truly do. Not for your sake, but because I would hate to see you learn this lesson the hard way. But that is no longer my concern. You chose them. Now live with that choice. Bernard." I placed the letter on the kitchen counter. I set my apartment key next to it. My wedding ring went beside the key. At 6 p.m., I loaded the 3 boxes into my car. I looked back at the apartment one last time. Then I closed the door and drove away. Laura came home at 9:15. She opened the door and called my name. Silence answered her. She turned on the lights and immediately saw that things were missing. My side of the closet was empty. My laptop was gone. She ran into the living room and saw the letter on the counter. Her hands shook as she read it. When she reached the line, "You chose them. Now live with that choice," she collapsed onto the floor. She called my number. An automated voice said the number was no longer in service. I had changed it. She called her mother. "Patricia said he will cool down. He is just being dramatic." Laura said, "Mom, he filed for divorce. He left." Patricia replied, "Good riddance. He never supported this family anyway. You do not need him." Tyler's voice came through the speaker. He said, "Sis, once this investment pays off, you will see. He is going to regret this." On Monday morning, Laura was served divorce papers at her office. A process server handed her the envelope in front of her coworkers. People stared and whispered. She tried calling me. My new number was unlisted. She sent emails. I did not reply. She came to my workplace. The receptionist told her I had requested no visitors. 2 weeks later, the cryptocurrency market collapsed. The altcoin Tyler invested in turned out to be a scam. Its value dropped to zero. Tyler lost everything. Patricia lost her money. Laura lost it all. Tyler stopped answering Laura's calls. Patricia still refused to admit she had been wrong. She said, "If only Bernard had been more supportive, maybe this would have turned out differently." 3 months passed. I moved into my small studio apartment. It was simple and clean. I decorated it myself with minimal furniture. There were no pictures of Laura anywhere. I hung one photo of me with my parents and my younger sister. I bought a small plant for the windowsill and took care of it every morning. At work, I focused on my career. I received a promotion to senior software engineer. My income increased. I started saving again from scratch. Greg remained my closest friend. I joined a local hiking club and met new people. I was not ready to date, and I did not rush it. Every Saturday, I volunteered at a food bank downtown. Healing did not happen overnight. The first week, I could barely eat. I threw myself into work because it was the only thing that made sense. The first month, I started seeing a therapist to process everything I had been through. The second month, I joined a gym and started running in the mornings. By the third month, I felt lighter. I felt free. One afternoon, Laura reached out through her lawyer and asked if I would meet her. I agreed to see her one time at a coffee shop downtown. She arrived looking thin and exhausted. The confidence I once loved was gone. She sat across from me and said, "Bernard, I am so sorry. You were right. About everything." She told me how she lost all the money, how Tyler disappeared and avoided her, how Patricia still refused to take responsibility. She said, "I lost you. I lost our future. And for what? For nothing." I said, "You lost it the moment you chose their fantasy over our reality." She started crying. She asked, "Can we start over? Is there any chance?" I shook my head gently. I said, "No, Laura. Some choices are final." She said, "I do not blame you. I just wanted you to know I understand now what I did to you, to us." I said, "I hope you do, not for my sake but for yours. So you do not do this to yourself again." She told me her mother still did not think she had done anything wrong. I said, "That is between you and her. I am no longer part of that family dynamic." We sat in silence for a few minutes. I said, "I wish you well, Laura. I really do. But I cannot be part of your healing process." She nodded and wiped her tears. She said, "Thank you. For everything you were to me, I am sorry I did not deserve it." I stood up and shook her hand for the last time. I said, "Goodbye, Laura." She said, "Goodbye, Bernard." I walked out of the coffee shop and did not look back. 6 months ago, I lost $23,000 and a wife. Today, I realize I did not lose anything. I escaped. People ask me if I regret giving Laura an ultimatum. The truth is, I did not give her an ultimatum. I gave her a choice, and she made it. All I did was respect that choice enough to walk away. Here is what I learned about boundaries. When someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, they are not just disrespecting you. They are showing you who they will always choose. Laura chose her family over our marriage every single time. The crypto investment was just the final straw, not the first offense. About loyalty. True loyalty is quiet. It does not need permission from a parent or approval from a sibling. Laura's loyalty was always loud, always conflicted, always split between me and them. That is not partnership. That is performance. About money. $23,000 was the cost of my freedom and my self-respect. Some people spend decades learning that lesson. I learned it in one night. That is a bargain. About family. Family should support you, not control you. Patricia did not raise Laura to be independent. She raised her to be obedient. Tyler did not see Laura as a sister. He saw her as a resource. Real family does not demand you sacrifice your marriage for their schemes about walking away. The hardest thing I ever did was walk out that door. The easiest thing I have done since is not walking back. Sometimes loving someone means loving yourself more. Sometimes the only way to save yourself is to let someone else sink with the choices they made. I am rebuilding now. Not the life I planned with Laura, but a life that is actually mine. No compromises, no split loyalties, no midnight wire transfers to fund someone else's delusion. I sleep well now. My savings account is growing again. And when I meet someone new someday, I will know exactly what questions to ask about family boundaries and where I stand in their list of priorities. Laura chose her family over me, and I chose myself over the wreckage. Some people might call that cold. I call it survival. The truth is, you cannot save someone who is drowning if they are clutching onto an anchor. All you can do is swim away before they pull you under too. I swam. I am still swimming. And for the first time in years, I am not looking back at the shore to see if she is following. That is how I know I made the right choice. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is let them live with the consequences of choosing everyone but you. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away while you still can. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to choose between staying loyal to someone and protecting yourself? Have you ever walked away from a relationship because the other person kept putting someone else first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more real stories about boundaries, self-respect, and knowing when enough is enough. Share this with someone who needs to hear that walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you make the right choice for your own life, whatever that choice may be. Take care of yourself. You deserve that much.